Hare Krishna. This morning we will be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 30th, the activities of the Prachetas, text 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Cheva Narottanam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Daivam Sarasatim Vyasam.
Tato Jamudirayat
Tato Dayam Mudirayat.
Nastabesya Bhadrasa
Nashtabeshu Vajreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevyam
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
Bhagavati Uttama-shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Svayam tu saksat Bhagavam Bhavasya
Vayam tu shakshat Bhagavan Bhavasya.
Priyasya Sakyu Ksana Sanghamena
Prayasya Sakyu Kshana Samgamena.
Sudusikityasya Bhavasya Mrityor
Dudushchityasya Bhavasya Mrityor.
Bishaktanam Tvadya Gatim Gatasma.
Vishaktamam Tyajagatim Gatasma.
So now the word for word translation. Vayam,
Vayam,
we,
two,
then, saksat, directly, Bhagavan, O Lord, Bhavasya, of Lord Shiva, Priyasya, very dear, Sakyu, your friend, Kshana, for a moment, Sangamena, by association,
Sudushchikityasya,
very difficult to cure, Bhavasya, of material existence, Mrityo, of death, Bishaktamam, the most expert physician, Tva, you, Adya, today, Gatim, destination, Gatha, having achieved, Sma, certainly. Now, translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dear Lord, by virtue of a moment's association with Lord Shiva, who is very dear to you, and who is your most intimate friend, we were fortunate to attain you. You are the most expert physician capable of treating the incurable disease of material existence. On account of our great fortune, we have been able to take shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. It has been said Harim vina namritim taranti. Without taking shelter of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, one cannot attain relief from the clutches of Maya, the repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. The Prachetas received the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the grace of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the supreme devotee of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vaishnavanam yata sambhu. The most exalted Vaishnava is Lord Shiva, and those who are actually devotees of Lord Shiva follow Lord Shiva's advice and take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. The so-called devotees of Lord Shiva, who are simply after material prosperity, are in a way deceived by Lord Shiva. He does not actually deceive them because Lord Shiva has no business in deceiving people, but because the so-called devotees of Lord Shiva want to be deceived. Lord Shiva, who is very easily pleased, allow them all kinds of material benedictions. These benedictions might ironically result in the destruction of the so-called devotees. For instance, Ravan took all material benediction from Lord Shiva, but the result was that he was ultimately destroyed with his family, kingdom, and everything else because he misused Lord Shiva's benediction. Because of his material power, he became very proud and puffed up, so that he dared kidnap the wife of Lord Ramchandra. In this way he was ruined. To get material benedictions from Lord Shiva is not difficult. But actually these are not benedictions. The Prachetas received benedictions from Lord Shiva, and as a result they attained the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This is real benediction. The gopis also worship Lord Shiva in Vrindavan, and the Lord is still staying there as Gopishvara. The gopis, however, prayed that Lord Shiva bless them by giving them Lord Krishna as their husband. There is no harm in worshipping the demigods, provided that one's aim is to return home back to Godhead. Generally, people go to the demigods for material benefit, as indicated in Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Kamaistaistairittaryan prapatyante nyadevata tam tam nyatamastaya prakrityan yatasvaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desire surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So, one enamored with material benefits is called Ritaryan, one who has lost his intelligence. In this connection, it is to be noted that sometimes in revealed scriptures, Lord Shiva is described as being non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The point is that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are so intimately connected that there is no difference in opinion. The actual fact is Ekali Ishvara Krishna Arasabha Britya. The only Supreme Master is Krishna, and all others are his devotees or servants. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 542. This is the real fact, and there is no difference of opinion between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu in this connection. Nowhere in the revealed scriptures does Lord Shiva claim to be equal to Lord Vishnu. This is simply the creation of the so-called devotees of Lord Shiva, who claim that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are one. This is strictly forbidden in the Vaishnava Tantra. Yastu Narayanam Devam Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 116. Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma are intimately connected as servants, as master and servants. Shiva Vrinshinutam, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.33. Vishnu is honored and offered obeisance by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. To consider that they are equal is a great offense. They are all equal in the sense that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all others are his eternal servants. I read the verse once again. Vayam tu saksat bhagavam bhavasya priyasya sakyuksana sangamena sudusikityasya bhavasya mrityoh bishaktanam tvadya gatim katasma. Dear Lord, by virtue of a moment's association with Lord Shiva, who is very dear to you, and who is your most intimate friend, we were fortunate to attain you. You are the most expert physician capable of treating the incurable disease of material existence on account of our great fortune. We have been able to take shelter at your lotus feet. Om Jnanatimandasya Jananjana Shanaka Sakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Shitchetayamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svamrupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiro Shiyuda Padkamlam Shirum Vaishnavam Sham Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriye Pancha Kalptrabhasha Kripa Sindhavesha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamani. Namaste Saraswata Devi Kaurvani Pacharini, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarni. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Hare Krishna, I'm very happy.
Mars, can you turn off your screen? Because otherwise we just see you as a tiny little square.
Okay. Like this?
Yeah, it's better.
Good. So I'm very happy to be in Ottawa. And this verse today is an important verse in the sense that it shows the importance of a connection with the spiritual master to get the mercy of Lord Krishna. That by the mercy, by the association of Lord Shiva, they got now the association of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva, Srila Prabhupada speaks in the purports, especially on the position of Lord Shiva. that Yamaraj, he tells Yamaduta Svayambur Narata Sambhu Kumara Kapilomani Palada Shanaka Bishmo Bali Vyaya Sakirvayam. Says there are 12 Mahajans who knows the principles of religion. And they are Svayambhu, this is Lord Brahma, Narada, the great saint Narada, and then Sambhu. Sambhu is Lord Shiva, is one of our Mahajans. Sambhu, that this, who is Lord Shiva? The Lord Shiva, that he is factually the Supreme Lord, but in contact with material nature. That is his service, and that that's the particular function he has in relation to the material world. That is a guna avatar. Is in control of tamago guna. Therefore, Lord Shiva looks tamasic, that he has skulls around his neck and so on. His body is covered with ashes from the crematorium ground. But he is an exalted Vaishnava. He is not in Tamagun. It is his service to control Tamagun, or in other words, destruction. So we see also when Daksha married his daughter to Sati, to Lord Shiva, that of course they got in a conflict when Daksha entered the sacrificial arena of a great sacrifice organized by the demigods to please Lord Vishnu. And everyone stood up when Daksha came in, but Lord Shiva did not. And Daksha, bewildered by his power, could not understand the position of Lord Shiva. He was thinking, he's my son-in-law. But the position of Lord Shiva is, even from a spiritual point of view, is higher than Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is a jiva who has the qualities of the jiva to the highest extent. That it is said Lord Krishna has 64 qualities. He has 4 unique qualities, and then Lord Vishnu has 60 qualities, and Lord Shiva has 55 qualities. So Lord Shiva has 5 qualities which the jiva cannot have. And these qualities, they are described as follows. Of course, there are also qualities of Lord Krishna. Quality 51 is changeless. Quality 52 is all cognizant. Is all cognizant when, but because when Diti lured or made Kashyapa Muni conceive Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha in the womb of did he? It happened at an inauspicious moment. And then Diti was very disturbed afterwards. She condemned her own act because she was afraid of Lord Shiva. That Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva knows everything. It's all cognizant. It's all cognizant, also all pervading, but only in the material world. Quality 55 is ever fresh. 54, Satchidananda, possessing an eternal blissful body. And 55, possessing all mystic perfections. So this is the qualities, unique qualities of Lord Shiva in compared with the Jiva, or the spirit soul. Srila Prabhupada, he speaks on the position of Lord Shiva. So the devotees were asking Prabhupada, is Shiva equal to Krishna? Prabhupada smiled and explained how Lord Shiva is Krishna, but in one sense not Krishna. He gave the example how curd comes from milk, and in that sense not different from milk. But at the same time, it is not milk. But they kept pressing their point, and Prabhupada finally said, no, Lord Shiva cannot give you liberation. So that is an important point. Of course, in some Puranas, Lord Shiva is glorified as a supreme Lord. But this is in the Puranas for those in the mode of ignorance. They accept Lord Shiva as supreme mostly. But we see also, it's mentioned in Ravan was worshipping Lord Shiva. Hiranyakashipu was worshipping, he was doing austerities for Brahma. Yes. But Lord Shiva has two kinds of followers. He has these creatures in the mode of ignorance, and he gives them benedictions. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, they are not really benedictions. They will give the opposite result, end up in failure always. But yes, there is the story of Vritrasur. Vritrasur was doing great austerities, and he was cutting off his own flesh and offer it in a fire as a sacrifice to please Lord Shiva. A horrible scene. But Lord Shiva did not react. It did not appear. And finally, Vritrasur was going to offer with a sword his own head into the fire of sacrifice, and that at that moment Lord Shiva appeared and said, "What do you want?" Well, Vritrasur said, "I want a benediction that if I touch someone's head, that the head immediately will crack in thousands of pieces." And Lord Shiva said, "The benediction is granted." And Vritrasur immediately wanted to touch the head of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva had to run away. I was fleeing all over the universe. He took shelter of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu said, I will solve the issue. And Lord Vishnu went to Vritrasur I said to Afrika, so do you really think Lord Shiva is this power? I said, don't believe it. You do the tests, just put your hand on your head. And Frikasur put his hand on his head, and his head cracked in thousands of pieces. So that so these benedictions are not good for those who are asking these benedictions. But of course, Lord Shiva has two kinds of followers. He has these creatures in a mode of ignorance that who want material benediction, and he's merciful to them, giving them what they want. But he's also the spiritual master of great sages, and he instructs them into pure devotional service. And we see also he was instructing the Prachetas in pure devotional service. That we see also the gopis worshipped Lord Shiva. But why it's the same way they were worshipping the goddess Katyayani. They worshipped to get Krishna as their husband. It's a different motive, that Krishna is the center. That So the Prachetas, by the mercy of Lord Shiva, they got the association of Lord Vishnu. That so to get the mercy of Krishna, we need first to approach the devotees of Krishna. That but there is another Shiva in the spiritual world. This is mentioned in Brihad Bhagavatamrita of Sanatana Goswami. There, one of the two stories in Brihad Bhagavatamrita is the story of Gopkumar. Gopkumar, who is a cowherd boy of Vrindavan, and his spiritual master gave him the Gopal mantra, and he was chanting this mantra. And by that, his consciousness became elevated, and he went from one planet to another, always higher planets. He became Indra, he became Brahma, and finally, he went to the Brahma Jyoti. He went to the coverings of the universe and entered the Brahma Jyoti. And when he entered the Brahma Jyoti, at first, he could not see anything. But then he heard the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. He heard the chanting of the holy names. And then Galli started to see, he saw Lord Shiva on a bull coming with many followers. And Gopkumar asked Lord Shiva, well, what are you doing? Well, Lord Shiva said, we are doing Harinam in the Brahma Jyoti we are doing Harinam in the Brahma Jyoti to liberate all these impersonalists who are merged with Brahman. But this Shiva is Sada Shiva, and this Sada Shiva is Vishnu Tattva. It's different, but it is said in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, this Sada Shiva is the origin of all the Shivas in all the universes. So there is also Sada Shiva, but that's a different category. But also, Srila Prabhupada in a purport speaks about the Devatas those who worship the devatas, the Ritakyan, they lost their intelligence. But we see the young gopis, they pray to Katyayani to get Krishna as her husband. So the devotees, they have, for the devotees, they have different functions than for the materialistic people of the world. Of course, you have the second offense against the holy name, to think that the names of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva are equal or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Because even Lord Vishnu offers all respects to Krishna. Because Krishna is avatari, all the incarnations are in him. In Lord Chaitanya's pastime, we see that Advaita Acharya is offering respect to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, all other forms are within him. So we worship Lord Shiva as the devotee of the Lord, the best devotee of the Lord. So yes, in this verse, the Prashetas are expressing their appreciation for Lord Shiva, who brought them in contact with Lord Vishnu. And that is a very important lesson for everyone who wants to make spiritual advancement, that we need first the mercy of the representative of Krishna. And then we can get the mercy of Lord Krishna. Lord Chaitanya also mentioned that Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagyavan Shiva Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Beach. One goes up and down in this universe, and finally, when one becomes Bhagyavan, fortunate, one comes in contact, then by the mercy of Krishna, one comes in contact with a representative of Krishna, who gives one the seed of a devotional service. So this mercy, this is important. But in our movement, this mercy comes to Srila Prabhupada. We need the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and we connect also with Srila Prabhupada through our spiritual master. So this is important. I remember always when I was in 2018, I was at the Bhaktivedanta Manor together with Bhakti Charamaj, and he was going to give initiation to devotees. Some of them were my students, graduates from the Bhakti Shastri, and he wanted me to speak to them in his presence. Of course, a disciple always feels embarrassed to speak in the presence of his spiritual master. So I prayed to Bhakti Charamaj for his mercy, please be merciful, that I can say something which will inspire them. And he said to me, no. And he pointed to to the deity of Prabhupada and said, this is where the mercy comes from. And then I had to pray to Srila Prabhupada. So that this is always for all of us in ISKCON, that this awareness that the mercy comes to Srila Prabhupada, that the mercy is in his teachings. If we hear from Prabhupada and follow, then we are on the right path. That if we neglect Prabhupada's teachings, then we are not connected with the mercy. Therefore there is a danger in the, because now in our movement there are so many gurus that of the second generation already. And that is nice, we have to expand. But these gurus must continue to put Prabhupada in the center. Prabhupada's teachings, that so important, that otherwise it's a dangerous position. So this is what I could say on the position of Lord Shiva. Any comments or questions?
Many devotees, because the power of a personal relationship is so strong, somebody who you meet and talk to and have a relationship with it's a very powerful binding force. And although intellectually people may know, or even not intellectually, but spiritually, they know that Prabhupada or even other members of the disciplic succession are maybe instrumental in their spiritual life or even essential in their spiritual life. At the same time, they feel that their primary source of spiritual power is coming from their spiritual master, whoever that may be. It seems to me that it's going to be very challenging. It's already a bit challenging, but in the long run, especially, will be more challenging as we move away from Srila Prabhupada's physical presence to keep him in the center. So perhaps you could suggest different ways, or that we can do that, because we all know we have to do it, but in reality, and then on the flip side of that is that now there are some people who say that they have a direct connection with Prabhupada and that they don't need any other spiritual master. So how do we balance out those two problems?
Yes, I think it's important in our movement, first, that we educate everyone in a sense that everyone should identify himself as a Shiksha disciple of Prabhupada first. That because it should be part of our identity, that I'm a follower of Prabhupada. At the same time, at the other side of the scale, we need only Prabhupada. Then yes, if we say we need only Prabhupada, then we must follow Prabhupada's instruction. And Prabhupada's instruction is that we should take shelter of a living spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada does not propagate such an imbalanced approach that people would say, I don't need any living spiritual master anymore. that's against the scriptures and against Prabhupada teachings. But it's I remember always when I first met Bhakti Charamaj, he was always putting Prabhupada in the center. When I met him the first time, he said to me, "I'm not a spiritual master. I can only connect you to Srila Prabhupada." But this is the first foremost characteristic of a spiritual master in ISKCON. He connects his disciple with Prabhupada. Yes, then my Guru Maharaj started to work on Prabhupada's position. He became part of this GBC committee. And he always said, as long as we put Srila Prabhupada in the center in our movement, ISKCON will go on. But once we put them, we forget putting Prabhupada in the center, then we are in danger. I remember Bhakti Charamaj telling us all that Prabhupada was very upset when once on his books they left out the A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada founder Acharya. And he became very angry. Don't do that. It should be there. So Bhakti Charamaj in the beginning was thinking Prabhupada is free of any or envy or does not desire any honor, free from. So why is he demanding that his name should be there? But later on it became very clear that unless we put Prabhupada in the center, this movement will deviate. And that's attachment to the spiritual master is fine, but always in connection with Prabhupada. And it's also the etiquette to see the spiritual master as a pure devotee. That's etiquette. But then propagating one's own guru, and then that is not appropriate. We are all servants of Prabhupada. No, there's also the awareness. There may be so many pure devotees in our movement, but no one was like Prabhupada. They are all lamps with different intensity, but no one is as Prabhupada. He was specially empowered. That in a purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there Prabhupada explains that he said many of his god brothers, he writes, are minimizing his position. But he says, who can spread Krishna consciousness all over the world without extraordinary empowerment? So that is Prabhupada. And I don't know, these are my thoughts, Mother Lakshmi Moni.
I mean, it's certainly true, but I 100,000,000% agree. But at the same time, I see that it's it goes one of the, we see in our movement, it often goes one way or the other. Either it's all Prabhupada or it's all my guru. And Prabhupada is, appreciated, but not revered. And one way in which he's neglected, especially because a lot of our devotees now are from India, they bring with them a certain amount of information, wherever it comes from, about how to be a devotee. I'll give an example. Purushottam Mas. I have students that I teach that live in India, in Noida, and now is Purushottam Mas, and they're all doing various austerities. And I looked it up in the folio, and of all in Prabhupada's books and lectures, letters, and everything else that Prabhupada recordings, he mentioned Purushottam Mas 0 times. So I'm wondering, what happens when these people get, they have things that come from somewhere, I don't know where, and they get huge. They get all-consuming. Different rules they make what we can eat on Ekadasi. There was a whole discussion on Mayapur Forum that we shouldn't eat peanuts on Ekadasi because they're actually a legume, when Prabhupada gave us peanuts all the time on Ekadasi. So what do we do about this?
Yeah, that's actually some of the Hindu culture is creeping in that Prabhupada did not give attention to this, and also after the disappearance of Prabhupada, and then I heard Mother Narayani saying when Prabhupada was with us, yes, the day after Ekadashi, we were breaking Ekadashi at the time of breakfast, that was it. There was no certain time of breaking Ekadashi and so on. But that is also to do with Karma Kanda. If you are certain, you do Ekadashi not only for spiritual advancement but for other benefits. And then you must break it very nicely at the right time, because otherwise you don't get it. But there's so many things that shape in, which have really not much to do with pure devotional service. That's like you said, Prabhupada did not give so much attention to these things.
My experience is that Srila Prabhupada focused on basically the holy name and what he felt was essential to our spiritual life, which he gave us in his books. And everything else was superficial, and putting energy into it or being diverted by it to some extent could be detrimental if it becomes a focus. And it takes away from the focus on the holy name and the power of the holy name. It's like saying to the holy name, I know you're powerful, but I need to give you some assistance by doing all these other punya things, because if I don't, then you may not work. So I think, these things are important, and we need to talk about them. Because faith in Prabhupada means faith in Prabhupada, that Prabhupada gave us everything we need. And if we follow him and we, we do what he said, then it will be, with the proper consciousness, then we'll be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think also, if we speak about second generation gurus, that there should be an ongoing communication and education. It's a big task for the Guru Services Committee organize that. But yeah, these dangers are coming up, especially the Prabhupada disciples are leaving us soon, and we are soon following. But anyway, yes, there is a big concern about the future here. That to maintain Prabhupada's pure teachings. Because also, when Prabhupada was here, we had all a morning program, and we're discussing Bhagavatam. But now many get initiation without having a daily morning program. And then the process does not really work. It becomes very difficult. Because you need to discuss Bhagavatam every day, because that is strengthening our Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of Krishna, knowledge who we are, what our relationship is. That and there are so many things that take us away from that focus. Many are going on the internet, YouTube, and what do you see there? One guru is giving a presentation against another guru. And then the other guru replies, and these things are going on. But let us focus on what's important. That's putting Prabhupada's teachings in the center. It's so important.
Actually, while you were speaking, I was thinking that when Prabhupada was with us, and for some time after that too, we were mostly living in the temple, or at least near a temple, and going to a temple on a regular basis. But now our lifestyle, the lifestyle of many devotees in general, has changed. We're working, we're living far away from the temple. We work, 9 to 5 or whatever it is, and in some ways we find the internet is a substitute. Even here, having this class, if we didn't have this class, then maybe 3 people would be at the temple, but certainly not all the 16 people that are here. So it's a blessing and it's a curse, and we really need to individually, with maturity, assess the spiritual need and make an endeavor to get it. If it means, reading every day for an hour, whatever it means, we need to see how we can do it. But our lifestyle has become very complicated, because we have to, many devotees on this call even, they have to support themselves. And not only support themselves, but help other people support themselves.
Yeah.
And therefore they have to do stuff.
Yeah, I heard also recently from Mother Prashanta, the devotees are following the Bhakti Shastri course online, and they have submitted their essays.
Oh God.
The essay questions, they give it to artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, they get the answer, and then they submit it. But artificial intelligence, I use it also sometimes, but I see it translates everything in the body concept of life. Because that's artificial intelligence. It's educated in the body concept of life. And the wording is just body concept of life. So these are also dangers for the future.
Not, and also it's a kind of plagiarism, which is cheating. And the cheating propensity isn't very conducive to spiritual advancement. But also, actually, Atul Krishna Prabhu and I have been discussing this problem, because it's a very big problem. and even in public schools, it's a problem, is that our intelligence is artificial, but our need to go back to Godhead is very real. It's not artificial.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, when we have to we want to face Krishna, we want to be with Krishna, the artificial intelligence isn't going to be sufficient to achieve that success.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, in non-devotional schools, they have this thing where you defend your thesis, asking people in the class to defend their paper. Then if they don't know it, they're not going to be able to do it. You know what I mean? They have to stand up in front of a class and defend their paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good.
It's really scary, actually. It's scary that people, imagine you're getting a surgeon who's never really studied anything.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Okay, our time is up. Thank you.
Time is over, and looking forward to see you tomorrow. Jai Prabhupada.
I think you'll see me tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, tonight.
In Russell.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Looking forward to see you soon. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada. Hare
Jai Prabhupada.
Jai Krishna, Vaishnavyo, Namo Namo. Jai.